Gaming and BS episode 149 coming to you July 18th, 2017. Welcome to Gaming and BS, a tabletop RPG podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brett.
And I'm Sean. No, I'm Brett. That's Sean. They're just what?
Hey, Brett.
Anyway,
I can't even knock you off your game, man. You're just on it.
I'm just too on the game. You know what just struck me as you said episode 149, and I'm like, son of a bitch, we're almost at 150. It feels like that should be an important number. Anyway,
I think 100's the milestone. I mean, 100 is a big milestone.
We had a big deal at 50, and 100 we kind of danced around, but I think 200 we might do something cool. We'll see.
Oh, it seems so far away.
It does. It does indeed. Anyway,
I think our egos will get in the way and we'll end up breaking up.
Probably. I anticipate some sort of a cat fight. It's going to happen at some phase here. Like a motorcycle jousting accident or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought that would be. It would be.
Yeah, already. I mean, how have we lasted this long? Well, enough about us. Announcements. Let's do. You know what? I gotta start off with this one. Is Ray Otis? Oh my God, Ray Otis. Last episode we casually threw out. You know, man, it'd be really cool to have like a Zip Zaps T-shirt or something cool like that. We just don't know how to draw. And Ray Otis, the man, the legend, says, "Oh, I can do that." And pow, we've got Zip Zap art. So I think we've got the right files and everything we can get out there so people can buy the shirt. I just think that's freaking cool. Thank you, Ray. The other thing we got to see if we can turn into a shirt is if we can get a hold of VC and see if we can do something with the incredibly awesome map that he did from our album art. Got to see if we can do something with that too. But for the time being, Ray, Mr. Otis, sir, thank you very much. That is some damn cool stuff, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ray. Yes, we've even got somebody that's offered to laser cut that out of like metal. I think Jesse Robinson is like, "Hey, I can get that laser cut for you." I'm like, "Sure, dude, whatever. Let me know how much it costs." And
that could be a cool thing to have in a booth. Or I think I threw out. It'd be really cool to have drink coasters, although that might be not as easy to pull off. But anyway, still pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Side note stuff here. The Avalon Kickstarter, I'm going to be talking with Chris Sneezak this coming week and hopefully get some more details ironed out. So when I got more ammo, I will let everybody here know what's going down. Let's see here. GameCon, Sean, has anybody new signed up to run any games for us? Or under our banner, not for us.
New, I don't know. So here's kind of the deal, though. I talked to Alex on Twitter, and the search function was quite a bit messed up. Then they're like, fixed it. And then I'm like, great. And then I went and checked and it was still messed up. So the long story short is it was case sensitive. It wasn't case sensitive. Now it is not. So if you just put gaming and BS and try the ampersand and the ampersand you should get the same results and get everything that is being run under gaming and BS. Because it was getting some funky results. Now it should all be fixed. I don't know who has submitted since our last show, but I know that Kevin has upped his amount of games that he has submitted. And and I gotta apologize to Eric Farmer. I like Eric with a C, Eric there. Okay, sorry, buddy. I like Tank. I must have got Eric Tankar, Eric spelling messed up with Farmers. And he actually let me know about the name of his game that he's running, which now escapes my brain.
Is that the Dogs and Hats Solving Crimes?
It is, but that's not the name of the game.
Okay.
But anyways, tons of games, man. Lots of stuff going on. Brett, and here's the thing. So, Brett, you may not be there.
Well, the unfortunate thing that could happen is, I've said this before, but my son goes Air Force Basic. If he's out of Basic and it's his graduation weekend, I'm going that. So I love y'all, but I got to see my son graduate from Basic. So
what I'm thinking is if Brett does not make it, he has 2 games submitted. I don't know when they are. I'm hoping they're not during a seminar that we want to record. And if that is the case, what I may try to do is if those folks sign up for his game and aren't able to, and he's not able to make it, I can't speak for both slots, but one of them I will probably set my game, an off the grid game, to the side, and then fill in for Brett if he's not there. Now I can't do for both, but it'll be one or the other.
So you'll either have Brett or a facsimile of Brett running a game for you.
I'm gonna come with beard, and I will come with well, I can't come with a gun. They'll never let me do that.
No. But you got to wear a kilt or get one of your wife's skirts. You can pull that off. You got the legs.
Yes, that's right. Brett wears his kilt the entire weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't confirmed it's a kilt.
It is totally a kilt.
Well,
because if you wear underwear, it's a skirt. That's the joke.
There's
right?
only one way to know, right?
Correct.
So
anyway, before we get crazier on that, how about we just move on to random encounter before this evolves?
Okay. Randoms encounters. You gonna start? Or you want me to start there, hero?
I'll let you start up, buddy.
Unveiling the mystery. Crimfan writes, great topic. I'm coming off running something like that, and it got frustrating. Partly for things I did that you guys laid out nicely, but in other cases, due to the players not using some of the tools provided, such as reading post-session written recaps, and an unwillingness to ask questions or draw conclusions, or engage with the story that was not in their characters' immediate myopic interests. Finally deciding to just use DM Fiat to bring things to a graceful-ish end helped my peace of mind, though I really didn't like it. Ultimately, that was a story that would have worked for other groups, but not this one. I really agree with Sean's roll with it and was running that way, but this group, nope. So, a little struggle that Crimfan has encountered.
Well, I'll tell you, and Crimfan, like you said, would have worked with a different group, but not this one. And sometimes you don't necessarily, I don't know how old some groups are as far as how long they've all been together. Not everybody has the luxury of, like, I've got a gaming group that's 20 plus years old. Sean's game with people that he's known for a very long time. If I sit down to game with Kevin and I'm like, oh yeah, I pretty much know how to get Kevin over here, give him some good data, blah, blah, blah. And if you're gaming with people that you're newer with, or you're trying something different, sometimes it'll fail or it just won't work as smoothly as you like. But it sounds like it wasn't a horrible train wreck. So, all right, Crimfan, good stuff, man. Keep trying. And maybe there's a different way to get that group rolled around and maybe get them back onto something there. So good luck. All right, Peter Scanis offers up a helpful blog run by Justin Alexander. In talking about mysteries, I've struggled with writing player-proof mysteries in the past, so recently when running a campaign, I wanted to get some help. I found this really useful blog post on the 3-clue rule by Justin Alexander. It clarified a lot of my thinking and helped me look at my plot/mystery in a different way. We have a link in the show notes to the blog by Justin Alexander. I've not had a chance to dig into that myself, Peter, but I'm definitely going to, because shows like this and articles or anything on game mastering or how to be a better player, how to tips, tricks, tools, blah, blah, blah. Even if Sean and I've said this before, you could look at it and go, oh, wow, I do all that stuff. Neat. That's confirmation I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Or you see something and say, wow, I could be doing it slightly different than I am right now. Or you may say, there's nothing here. This is all garbage. Absolutely fine, too. So the cool part about this hobby is just all the different, I shouldn't say the cool, one of the cool things, all the different perspectives and options we have. And the World Wide Webs makes it so awesome to get just loaded down with good advice and ideas. So very cool.
Christopher Gray calls BS on mass combat.
All right. I just poured myself a drink. Get going.
All right. Sit back, relax for this one, Brett. Oh, snap. I can't believe I'm writing a calling BS email. What have I done? I'm about to disagree with my northern brothers from other mothers. I was very excited to see the topic, though it did take me a full week to catch up and listen. I love mass combat and have even integrated some of it on my DM's Guild adventures, so I wanted to hear your take. And here's the thing. You didn't actually talk about mass combat. Well, a bit toward the end, but most of your discussion was about mass combat as a setting, not mass combat as a type of combat. Playing in a squad to achieve an objective while war blows up around you isn't mass combat. That's regular gameplay done in the setting of a war. I think there's a whole discussion that can happen about actually using mass combat in your tabletop game without it turning into a war game. This will inevitably devolve into mechanics, but there are some best practices that will work across systems. Practice number 1. Divide the multitudes into manageable units with single stats and abilities. An army of 1,000 kobolds, how about 10 units of 100 kobolds? Each with 1 attack bonus and combined damage and hit points. Practice number 2. Give the NPCs to the players. So now they are rolling for all the good guy units against your bad guy units. Now they are personally involved in the combat. Simply put the good guy units in whatever initiative system the game uses. Practice number 3. Zoom into the player characters. While the units are fighting each other during regular turn order, players controlling the good guys see practice number 2 above, they also get to play their characters as well, effectively zooming into their particular moment within the larger combat. That's it. If you do those 3 things, mass combat can usually slip right into the regular system, and players get to have direct impact on large-scale battles without having to break out their Warhammer collection. I like Sean's idea about using skill contests. Thank you very much. That's pretty clever, but I don't think it would feel very epic to play. All right, fine. Having done this several times in 5e, I could tell you that mass combat in the hands of players makes for memorable Helm's Deep style moments. And why mass combat? Some stories demand it. My year-long campaign is about city-states mobilizing against armies of fiends. They have long Steven Erikson-style marches, huge citywide sieges, and tens of thousands of participants. Now, while the player characters themselves are usually not directly around as the armies are doing their thing, they've come to a head at several plot-critical intervals and participated in some heavy warfare before moving into their important mission. Mass combat can dramatically enrich a campaign, but as you say, only in small doses. They are great for story arc climaxes, but not for regular play. I forgive you for discussing mass combat as a setting, and not as type of combat. Keep up the good work.
That was nice. We got slapped a little bit, but not too hard.
No, it was a gentleman's slap.
It was indeed.
That's not even such a thing.
Yes, it is.
It is?
Yes, it was a gentlemanly left cross to the jaw. Christopher, I'll tell you what, man. We tried to say it at the top of the show. I think, at least not the top, at least the top of the topic. Tried to get into the, hey, there's a couple different ways to digest this. I really think between this feedback and some of the other stuff we've gotten around mass combat, we've had, honestly, better insights into mass combat as a mechanical component than Sean and I had kind of in our heads. I was honestly more concerned about the setting/story ramifications and trying to ferret out why I'd even want to do it and the different story-based kind of variations thereof. But I like what you have here. I like this concept, these 3 basic practices you have here. I do think they would definitely work across most systems and be easily enough implemented. So thank you very much, Mr. Gray. All right. Well, continuing on the mass combat, we have Timothy Stone continues up. He says, work got the best of me, Brett B. and Sean. I had big plans with Roger Braslett, and I had to collaborate on a response. Poof, time passes, and here I am too late. No, Timothy, you're not. We're here for you. You're right in.
That's
we
right.
see it.
That's right. You could write us in a year about an episode we did 2 years ago. And doggone it, we may even put it in the show because we don't have anything else to put in it.
Our memories are bad enough, we would probably think it was the last episode. We're not sure.
And we would change our complete stance.
Absolutely by then. Because why not? We're a bunch of fickle little kids. That's what we are. Anyway, Timothy continues on with something much more intelligent than what we had. In the past couple years, I playtested a set of mass battle rules for Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing 2E, working from the Savage Worlds rule set, as noted by Carlin Kendrick. I ran a proto version with my players, including Roger Braslett, and then refined version at WayneCon 2016 with Wayne Snyder and a few others. Wow, that's pretty cool. In the last 2 weeks, Roger and party repelled a greenskin incursion on the Skull River at the edge of the Badlands. It was a quick and, in my honest opinion, the rules and Savage Rules by extension directly involve the players. Roger held back enthusiastic praise, I think, as mass battle rules in general muddle the PC involvement. I may disagree with nuance, but concede it could have been the GM. Savage Rules, I think, does this on purpose, but purposely involves the PCs with skill rolls and outcomes that affect the next battle round. Roger's PC got beat up in the first round and resulted in a low weapon skill roll. The coarse-grained outcomes are on purpose, and Savage Rules notes this. Each round is intended to abstract many rounds of ebb and flow on the line. Roger's outcome was one round on the table, but narratively was intended to be many rounds, e.g., 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or even an hour of battle. A 50% hit point loss represented its turn, quote-unquote. Could the PCs die in 1 or 2 rounds? Yes. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is supposed to be deadly. I generally don't dial that to 11. And death of PCs is another topic. On topic, though, if your PC wades into the hordes at the gate of Helm's Deep, getting hit, cut, stabbed, and skewered is a real possibility. And yes, I concede we all want Aragorn from the movies at the table, but where's the story and drama in never being threatened by an opponent's sword? End. Good stuff, Timothy. I like that. I think there is I'm seeing a theme here, and maybe we'll get a couple more from listeners as time goes on, but I think there's a general theme where people like to pull a zip zap and roll their own when it comes to mass combat. Zip zap. Zip. I'm trying to verb it. I'm trying to make it into a verb.
Zigzags, you square.
Zigzags, you square. Squares really tells you. Anyway, I think it's interesting. I think people tend to roll their own when it comes to some of these mass combat components, and Savage Rules has it baked in, and I'm pretty sure other systems may have it baked in, but it feels like, from what we're reading from listeners anyway, that people are kind of scrounging around and house ruling some good stuff, trying to pull the best of breed from each different system that they've got access to. So, interesting. Thank you, Mr. Stone. Over to you, Sean.
Josh Anderson from Facebook. Facebook, what? Comments on mass combat, so he messaged us. So to those people looking for a good mass battle system, I would point them towards L5R, which is a game I am not familiar with. I know what L5R is, but I don't own it, never seen it, and I know it's quite intense.
That is Legend of the Five Rings by Atlas Games, and that is one of John Wick's earlier large-scale babies from back in the day. So anyway, carry on.
Have you ever played, Brett?
I have not. L5R was one of those games like, wow, that looks really interesting. But at the time, I think that came out around the time I was getting into Vampire or something else. And with limited pocket money, I was dumping my money on a different gaming system. Now, of course, that I'm rolling around in cash with this crazy podcast money, I'm scrounging up free PDFs from people. No, I'm kidding. Now that I've got a little bit more disposable income, I'm picking up more games. I kind of wish L5R had landed now. And the only thing that stops me from diving too deep into it is the volume of work that would take to really get up to speed on it. Anyway, I will shut up and let you go.
Continuing on with Josh, you start out by assigning a value to each force. The system gives guidelines for this. Next, if you have a social character, they can make an inspirational speech to raise that value a bit, inspiring the troops, right? Each player rolls against the difficulty to see how they are doing, with results leeching a number of wounds and spell slots from those who use them and gain glory, an actual stat in L5R. Also, the players get access to heroic opportunities, or zoom-in moments that present a specific challenge and a turn limit to succeed in overcoming it. If a player is successful, they raise the force value of their side, thus showing in a concrete way how this specific person is helping sway the battle. It's even designed in such a way It's even designed in such a way that you can have players on opposite sides of the fight or even commanding those forces themselves. Force leaders get special options throughout this whole affair without having to fight each other directly. It abstracts the battle as a whole, but gives big, impressive moments for the players to indulge in to actively sway the outcome. Nothing like the chance to take a shot at the enemy commander and one shooting him with your berserker.
That's good stuff. And Josh is also calling something else to my attention. Not only are people kind of rolling their own on some of this stuff, but what Josh calls out here, it abstracts the battle as a whole. And that seems to be a theme that we've gotten back. We talked about it, as well as just about every listener who's written in has talked about it as well. Kind of this concept of abstracting it so that you don't turn it into an honest-to-God Warhammer fantasy battles where you've got individual units on a table and where you're actually playing a war game. So I think the abstracted approach is the middle ground between actual, tables of terrain and miniatures and so on versus an RPG. Indeed. Good stuff, though, Josh. Thank you very much, sir.
Very well, Josh.
All right, Edward Nagy emails about pre-gens versus zip-zapping your character. After listening to your podcast, save for Half's most recent podcast on the original Top Secret, and being reminded of a recent ad hoc game of Zero Ed D&D at North Texas, I was thinking that an important differentiator between when to use pre-gens and when to let players make their own is the randomness of character gen. You touched on this with DCC, but any game where most of the decisions are out of the player's hands is both a good option for letting them make their own, because without analysis it's pretty quick, and a good option for pre-gens. It really doesn't matter who rolls the dice. So for DCC and now MCC, Mutant Crow Classics for the uninitiated, that's my little aside, not his. He's much nicer than I am. Anyway, back. The character is completely random, at least for level zeros. GM, player, or purple sorcerer all make the same characters. For Zero Ed D&D with 3d6 in order, 3d6 times 10 starting money, and only a couple choices, players can quickly make PCs at the table to start a con game. Or the DM can, because it really doesn't matter. For point-buy systems, it makes sense to have players make characters for long-term games, so they can get what they want, and for GMs to provide them for short-term games. Analysis paralysis should be avoided at the con. In general, as you so aptly pointed out, it depends. I've often provided characters and let players choose some start equipment, or choose a magic item, or choose spells. While listening to your cast, I started wondering if it would be possible to make a Power by the Apocalypse style playbooks for 5e. Here's your fighter. Circle these things. It would be easy for first level PCs and probably doable up through third. After that, I think they might start to get long. I might look into this for my next 5e con game, though. Your plan of letting players choose personalities and connectivity works great for games where the story either doesn't tie too closely to the character's choices, or is developed to include their choices improvisationally. For Dungeon Crawl and other loose games, I typically provide at least 50% more PCs than I expect at con games, both to allow for unexpected death and to give the player some choices. If the game has a story wrapped closely around the PCs, often true of Call of Cthulhu, I tend to have just one extra in case of an unexpected player. A completely different topic I've been thinking about a lot is module translation. I've done some work for small publishers translating their games from Pathfinder to Swords and Wizardry to 5e, Pathfinder to 5e. I also listen to some folks talk about translating between Call of Cthulhu, Trail of Cthulhu, and Cthulhu Dark. It's been interesting to think about what the different systems focus on and how to preserve the intent of the adventure while playing to the strengths of the system. For example, Zero Ed D&D, to a lesser extent AD&D, were chock full of save or die, and players of those games expect that. When rewriting a 1E adventure for 5E, how much do you keep? Pathfinder is chock full of fine gradations in difficulty and power, different quality longswords, classifications of door strength, etc. Zero Ed has weapons doing D6 and doors opening on an open doors check. If a Pathfinder adventure hinges on these technicalities, how can that fun be ported over into a simpler system? I'd love to hear your thoughts on when you let the adventure control and your thoughts on when you would let the adventure control and when the system. Also thoughts on what sorts of things feel intrinsic to various systems and editions, without getting into subjective debates, which are over which are better, of course. Anyway, a little bit long, but thank you much. Ciao. Very nice. Keep up the great BS. Edwin of Maine. Well, Edwin, thanks, man. That's good stuff. I like your thoughts around the pre-gens versus rolling your own, and the question here at the end that's got me thinking. I'll have to throw that into the old hopper for topics. So that one goes into the bin.
Get to the hopper.
Get to the hopper.
Pull out the topic from the hopper.
Exactly.
Thanks, everybody, for writing in. Very insightful, very good stuff. Much appreciated. I hope some of the other folks appreciate it as much as we do. I'm sure they do. Shall we get... Shall we?
We shall.
The Queen says we're discussing what this evening, Brett?
All right. So when Sean and I hopped on the bikes, rode down to the Pig and Guzzle to swap games with Hobbs and a few other folks. VC Young was one of the people there. It was VC Wayne. We had Bird. And we were all hanging out. And VC and I are sitting at a bar, having a snack, drinking a brew. And VC says, "You know what, man? Here's a topic for you about the downtime between sessions." And I said, "Whatever do you mean, VC?" And he said, "Well, when you've got weekly games, bi-weekly, monthly, or and I mentioned even yearly." And he said, "Yeah, there's different needs and wants, perhaps, to have that much space in between sessions." And it came up because VC has a group right now that's meeting every week, and he was talking about how it seemed to perhaps not be the right cadence for that crew, and he was thinking about how to change things up, whatever. And I had sagely pointed out that perhaps he was meeting too often, and maybe the group needed a bi-weekly game, or maybe even a monthly game, which of course led to what the hell goes on with that. So anyway, Sean, let's talk about time in between the game sessions. And I'm not necessarily worried about player characters per se. I'm talking more about players and game masters here, right? Why would I want to do it? Why wouldn't I? And so on. So why would you want to have X amount of time between games? I mean, weekly seems like it's this. We're not in high school anymore where we can game every week all the time. Oh, but then again, I know. Some people are able to game every week, and some people can't. This means Sean has nothing to say for this whole episode. It's going to be Brett talking to a soundboard. This will be
Brett will point out the goods and the bads, and I will adequately play the appropriate effect.
Very nice. Sean, is there a reason why you schedule games the way you do? Do you play every week? Let's just ask that. Do you play every week or every other?
I do not play I do not play every week. I used to. But I did not play every week with the same group. And frankly, I'm a little pissed off today.
Why is that, Sean?
Well, because, Brett, so we're scheduled to play Tuesday. Me, my group that I do face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy Brian, who some have met at GameholeCon.
Did he bail on you?
No. Well, he's got like a business trip. But he's like, I'm not going to be there Tuesday. But that a player misses, it's not a big deal. So he texts the whole group, "Hey, so our GM got hurt, like pretty bad, like surgery hurt."
Oh, wow. Okay. That's not good.
No. And so she was unable to, okay, we play every other week.
Mm-hmm.
So she got hurt. I don't remember if it was the on week or off week, it doesn't matter. And then, so we couldn't play the week she got hurt or the week after surgery. Then the next time came around, I think it was like the holiday. Then the next one that came around was time to play, so last time it was holiday, we're not going to play, and she was still kind of laid up. And then this time, still not going to be able to. Now, which is fine, I totally get that, but, did she just realize this, and was it only responded, the response only came because Brian texted everybody. He's like, "Hey, it's Sunday, are we still playing Tuesday?" And of course, no, we're not. So literally, I haven't played a game in like 2 months at least.
You're DTing, man.
I am totally. Well, and so my buddy Doc, he's a pretty reasonable guy. But if you're a GM and you start to flake, he will call you to the floor and say, "We're starting another game. You're not pulling your weight." Now, because of the situation and this person being hurt, I think Doc's had a little latitude for sure.
Well, that's tough. That's kind of rough to be a hard ass on somebody. "Hey, Sean,
right.
I see you had open heart surgery. Get your ass to the fucking game. What's
Well,
wrong with you, bitches? Come on, man. Yeah, that's hard to do.
So it's not open heart surgery,
I know. I'm just saying though.
and it's not brain surgery.
Well,
It's not. It's nothing. It's nothing that's gonna kill her. I mean, let's draw the line. Christ.
well, I'm just saying. There's.
I
Anyway,
just, for me being a callous, emotionless son of a bitch, I want to make sure that everybody knows that she's not gonna die.
Okay, good. That's very true.
It might have been like a broken limb or something that had to be reset and surgically, like, maybe removed and put in like an iron, titanium rod or something. But there's no death involved here.
So you can still roll dice. God damn it. Anyway, no, but I get.
Anyways,
Anyway,
so the thing is, I play every other.
You're injured. Fuck you, DM. Get to the goddamn table. Wheel that chair up here.
I'm getting back to your goddamn question.
All right, go ahead.
So I play at once every 2 weeks currently. I know Brian wants to start up another every other week, like alternating. The one that I don't, when I am not playing, he wants to start up one. But so having said that, I play right now as it stands every other week.
That's not bad. So my schedule when all things are firing is every other week with for the actual play for the Wednesday evening podcast thing that Chris set up. That's where Streets of Avalon is. So
how long do you guys play for?
Usually if we start at 7, we go till like 10, 11. 3-4 hours.
3-4 hours. Okay.
That's not bad. And then once a month, I have 3 other games that I go up to my hometown, and then I run Lamentations, and I run DCC, and then Alpha is running the Ravenloft game. So I kind of like have a gaming weekend where we'll like set this weekend aside, or one Friday I'll run up because I'm going up to help my dad take care of my mother and my grandmother. So it's a good excuse to go up into town, help my dad out for a little bit, and then in the evening go game with my buddies.
So when you do that and you go game with your buddies, Brett, do you play all 3 games in one weekend?
No, it's usually 2 of those 3 games. That usually breaks into 2 different weekends. So like this coming Friday will be Ravenloft, and then the next weekend will be Lamentations and DCC.
I wonder you're not getting any miles on your bike.
I ride the bike when I go up there, dude.
Well, that's true. Sometimes.
Anyway, so I think the main reason it happened, I used to run.
Wait a minute now.
Yeah.
So when you game, because we didn't get into the nuance. So when you play in Zave's game, right? How long is that session?
You mean typically? Alpha's game?
Oh, I'm sorry, Alpha's. He's running the Ravenloft?
Alpha's running Ravenloft. You start at 5 and we end about midnight.
Okay, so it's a no shit session.
Yeah, and the same with Lamentations. When I run Lamentations, you start at about 6, go to midnight, and then DCC start at 5, go to midnight.
Okay, so you're running like almost. So I would say, my take, a typical quote unquote session. And if you wanted to know how to define a session, go over to listen to Misdirected Mark. Like, I don't know, it was like 10 or 15 episodes ago. They define like session and camp session, mostly session stuff. Like what's a session and what's all this. But for the purpose of this discussion, I talk about a session as kind of a standard 4 hours, because I think you can get in one in our adult lives, starting at somewhere like right after dinner time to like after kids are asleep, 7-10 o'clock local time, whatever, during the week.
That makes sense. Okay.
And then the weekend you can put in those marathon games. So Brett, you're kind of running like 2 sessions in on a weekend.
Yeah, because it's only once a month for those groups.
Right.
Which is why, I mean, one of the reasons we do that is because scheduling's hell. As you're finding out, trying to get a DCC game going with Phil and a couple other folks, it's hard to see how schedules match. And that's one of the reasons why when VC and I were talking, I'm like, sometimes bi-weekly gives certain people, I know it did for me. I was gaming like every Wednesday, and that was just too much strain on my family stuff. I need to be able to spend more time with my kids and do stuff with my wife and get here, do that, blah, blah, blah. I got other shit going on too with work and martial arts teaching and blah. Anyway, schedules are hell, and sometimes every other week is easier to fit into the family schedule than every week. At least it is for me. So I can definitely see why some folks would want to do that. And then with the the games with my home group up in my hometown, it takes me 3 hours to get up there. We really want to kind of go. It's kind of tradition that we game like a Friday night or a Saturday evening and then go as long as we can. So because it's so rare, i.e. only once a month, you kind of make an event of it where you say, oh, we're going to show up, we're going to really get into character, we're going to really do our thing and keep going. I think what that has done for the most part is that actually interest seems to go up with the group. Now, it sucks when somebody can't make, it's even with only being once a month, sometimes you still have people who can't quite pull it off because of scheduling or family issues or whatever. We had one person who had a death in the family and they had they got a funeral to go to. They can't make the game. It happens. But, excuse me, I think people are, when it's every other week and even to the once a month, it becomes something you're really looking forward to. And at least that I have seen, people's interest goes up sometimes, where if it's every week, I'm like, I can skip this week. I can always come back next week. But when it's every other week, I find that, at least myself, I look at it saying, oh, I really don't want to miss this one because it's been 2 weeks since we played last. I really want to get back in it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I guess instead of just asking, does it make sense? Do you see the same thing in your type of schedule where obviously you were just saying you haven't played in a month? God damn it, you're getting tweaked. But do you find the anticipation of an every other week is better than an every week, or does that not bother you?
Well, it depends.
It depends.
Well, because if the game sucks, I don't. And we're playing every week.
Why are you playing in a game that sucks, Sean? That's just stupid.
I gotta kick the DM to the curb, or maybe I just gotta start a new game. Maybe it's me GMing, and I've got to switch it up. I would say that I do have a heightened anticipation playing once every other week for sure, because I have a week gap, and I know that if we don't play that one time that we're scheduled to play, that I'm going to go an entire month without playing. It's going to be 3-4 weeks.
Which sucks.
Which totally blows. To me, I can't do, we're playing 4 hours. It's not like an 8-hour marathon where you might cover so much ground that, missing session's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think that's a really good segue into, so let's move past that for a second. And I mean, when there's quote unquote too much time goes by between games, I've heard this argument before too. Like, when I play once a month, I've had people, how the fuck do you remember what the hell happened last time?
Yeah, that's a big one.
It excuse me, players forget stuff, GMs forget stuff. So just to be honest, sometimes interest in the current game can flag, right? Because it is a month. And in between that month, you're like, oh my God, my new Kickstarter stuff showed up at my door. Oh my God, I just heard about this new thing. I start reading a new book or checking out a new game, and new ideas hit your head. And you're like, boy, I really wish I wasn't running this DCC thing. I could really do this other game. So you can sometimes get yourself caught like that. But I think there are ways to get around that. So, Sean, just let me run that again. So your players can forget stuff. Your game masters forget stuff. And interest sometimes can flag, when you're talking month or even yearly. And the reason I say yearly is I have a Knights Black Agents game. They started last year at QCC with Chris Sneezak running, and we finally played our second session at Origins this last year. We all remember.
So are you playing a con game? Like you play every time you meet at a con, you play?
That's pretty much what's happened. Is when we're like, okay, where we're going to be? Well, I can't make QCC. I can't, but we're gonna. Oh, everyone's going to be at Origins. Boom. We dropped it and played there. It was a lot of fun.
So you're gonna play next session Game Hole Con? Is that it?
If enough people are there. If not, we'll go back to Origins next year and do it again. So anyway, Sean, does that cover what you think are the I guess what can happen between games? The players forget GMs and interest flags. Is there anything else that you can think of that would hit a group or cause problems?
No, those are the big ones, I think. And with that comes things that come with that. Like then you start getting people dropping off indefinitely, or I had that happen. Like I used to be those once a month, once every 2 months. Nope. no thanks, bye.
Yeah.
See ya.
And I think that's it. That's a good point, is because if you, especially if you're running the game, so I guess we're kind of sliding right into how to keep things on track, right? So one is you do the notes thing. Players take notes, GM takes notes. If you're going to do that, is basic as that sounds, don't forget to reward the players that are actually paying attention. Kevin takes incredibly good notes. I've had other players take good notes. I've also, quote unquote, punished players. Like, I don't remember what happened last time. I'm like, didn't you write anything down? No, I thought that'd be you. No.
So what do you do to punish him, Brett? Tell us in graphic detail.
In graphic detail, well, the first thing I do, the first round goes right past their left ear. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
No.
Why the left ear, Brett?
Because I'm right-handed. It's easier to just start drawing from left to right. Anyway, the point is I'm like, look, if you don't want to take notes, that's fine. Or when I do take notes, I put down what I think was important. And I always tell my players, if I'm doing that, I'm doing it as fast as I can. I do have a day job. I got family. We got other shit to do. Please keep your own notes. If they forget something, I do not feel obligated always to come back to the guys and say, look, you, oh yeah, this thing. Oh, you forgot to check into this, that, or the other thing. If they remember it halfway through the session, well, too damn bad. You should have made some fucking notes and paid attention. Generally speaking, though, most of the group has a pretty good memory, because DCC and Lamentations I've slacked off a little bit, just because with changing jobs and things have been a little chaotic in my stuff at home, just kind of with all that crap happening. I haven't been able to keep as good a notes, but I have a decent enough memory, and I do keep some notes. So at the start of every session, I say, hey, here's what I remember happened last time, to kick everybody into gear, and then we all start talking about it. The other thing, though, honestly, to help stop that, is that I start talking about scheduling the next game almost immediately after the other one's done. So we'll be done with the games at the end of this month. We're done the next 2 weekends. Immediately the next Monday is a follow-up email saying, hey, in our Google Plus community, here are the dates in August that are open to play. When can you make it? There's always some dicking around trying to figure out, are we over here, are we there, who can make this, who can make that. But we pick a date as soon as possible and nail it. And that way it gets on everybody's schedules quickly. If you drag that out too long for a monthly game anyway, or even yearly game, if you're going to do it that far in advance or every 2 months or whatever, you need to get those on the calendar as soon as humanly possible. Our standing idea is that the last Saturday of every month, whenever possible, is the game when I'm in town and I'm running. So usually all the games happen over that weekend. That way everybody knows. Usually at the end of the month, we kind of plan that something's going to happen there. And that helps, that helps a lot. Just having something standard that even if it's every month, that this is the place. And then every other week, it's always the same day of the week and the same time. Just, again, to get it on your calendar so you can work around it. Sorry, Sean.
So how many people do you have that? Because it's also a different ball game when you have that monthly, hey, we're going to put it on the calendar and people can make plans and make accommodations as appropriate. 5, 6.
I'm counting. I got, so
5, 4, 3.
Zave, Alpha, Beta.
Because when that happens and you get like
Kevin.
committals, if you're getting 4 or 5 consistently, then it's not a big deal. But if you only have 4 players and you're getting like, well, 2 of them can't show up because... So
back in the day, I've said this before, I've had like 13 players in a vampire game, which is it turned into a mini LARP for that entire campaign. Right now, for my DCC game, I've got 7 to 8. So what happens then is...
so you could afford having 3 or 4 not be there.
Absolutely. Even if I'm not running DCC, I'll talk about kind of how I set that game up. But even when I ran Bad Magic, or I've run something a little more quote-unquote intense that's not old school, even if somebody is a heavy story, blah, 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 you can still work the story around the fact that these couple people are gone. One of the keys to doing that, I'll just throw this out there now before I forget, is at the end of a session, if you leave a cliffhanger for the group, it has to be for the group, not just for one person being the key person. That's the thing I try to do. So don't go, oh, Kevin's character is the one who has all the answers, At the end of next month, Kevin goes, I can't make it. I had a death in a family. Somebody's getting married. Something happened. I just can't make it. I'm sorry. Then fuck. Now, granted, that's whatever happened either was great or terrible or whatever happened in real life. But then, like, from a game perspective, like, God damn it, now I got to change it around. So cliffhangers or big events like that tend to be for the group a big thing that they all need to figure out. Which is the thing I started doing after getting burned a few dozen times with, everything was set up and Lenny can't make it. Son of a bitch. With my Lamentations game, it is Lenny, Alpha, Zave, Beta, JR, and so there's only 5 guys there. That one, though, is easier because it's just like, hey, who can make it? And we tend to play Friday evenings right after work. I work remotely that day, and then I zip over to their place and get it done. But anyway, even then, if you miss one person out of a 5 or 6 man team, and you've got a couple of people out, and hey, she can't make it, the rest of them can, great, we'll be fine. However, to your point, if you have a 3-person crew, and oh my God, Ange can't make it, Chris is out, it's down to a game master and maybe 1-2 players. Yeah, that's canceling time.
Because what's happening after that, when you get groups that are that small and you're playing that, once a month, if you miss 2 months, I mean, you're playing like 6-7 times a year, maybe.
Yeah, that's a bit rough. Now there is. Oh, sorry. I was going to say it's the dedication. We've talked about this a bit before. Is that obviously we're doing a podcast. We love gaming. This is a thing we're huge on. We're involved with GameholeCon. I run another gaming convention. We love this freaking hobby. If you're gaming with people who are not as passionate as you are about stuff, and this is where Doc and I talked about this at Gamehold one year. He's like, it just irks me to no end, Brett, when you've got these people who just treat it like a casual pastime and they don't put the same effort into it that I do. Which is one of the reasons why online gaming can be awesome, where you can find people who share the same level of passion that you have for the hobby. You can find people who get together one session, make characters, drink beer, eat pizza, and all the boys and girls go home afterwards. And then they get together 2 months later, say, yeah, you know what? I haven't played Traveler in a while. Yeah, we'll get together and play Traveler. And they get together, drink beer, eat pizza, all the boys and girls go home afterwards. And that's quote-unquote gaming for them. And there's lots of groups in between that and what Sean and I like to do. And I think having the people who have the willingness to dedicate is big. And the reason this came up with VC and I was his group. He's like, I'm having kind of this flagging number of people. And I said, well, maybe if people are really good, dedicated gamers, but they just can't schedule a weekly event because of work, family, whatever. So see what a biweekly would do, right? And maybe that's a key that would help get people like, yeah, I really want to be there. I totally want to game. It's just such a strain on the personal calendar for every Wednesday or every Saturday. I just can't do it. So then that's just another way to kind of keep that same level of intensity, not as often, but at least everybody who's showing up is dedicated. So I guess that's where I was going with kind of where I started this little ramble around scheduling, is I try to start it as early as possible, get as many people hooked, and then through the Google Plus community, which is where we've agreed to communicate, then as it gets closer, we say, hey, by the way, next week this is happening. If you can't make it, let me know. Hey, this week this is happening. I'm leaving this day at noon from work, and I'll be up there at this point. Which means Brett will be posting a picture in G Plus of him smoking a pipe and driving north. So as the person running the games, I feel it's my job to help try to get people amped up. Hey, it's coming. Hey, it's coming. Hey, it's here. And part of that's just my project management background, is warning people that stuff's coming and then telling them when it's actually shown up. So does that make sense, Sean? Sorry.
What part? Can you repeat that one? Can you repeat that one part, Brett?
No. So I
think one thing you asked me is like doing it every other week. Do you find like why would you want to do it every other week? The every other week thing would probably be just to prep. If you're a prepper, if you're a GM and you like to prep, and think you got to prep, that extra week gives you a prep.
No, that's a very good point. Yeah, if you have a heavy duty amount of preparation you need to do, maps you want to get, you've got like, oh shit, they busted through the first half of, Master Thotep, and I got to read the next. I need to review the next couple of chapters because they fucking went off to Singapore instead of to Africa like I thought they would, and you've got to deal with it. Having that extra week to bust through the source material,
layers, man.
Yeah, they'll do shit like that.
There's always a freaking one way to deal with that shit.
Oh, yeah. Hand out tickets and keep them going.
That's right. They don't need to know.
Yeah, because not everybody likes to do the Brett thing where you're a little more off the cuff and kind of making it up as you go. And I know there's tons of people that do. It's not just a Brett thing. But even so, if you want to read or check up on things, or you've got some, think time that you want to put into your campaign, having that quote unquote week off from actual gaming and just the ability to make some notes and sketch out where you think things could go. I've noted that even with my monthly games, that has helped a lot, just from the ability to think of different ideas and twists and what's going on, and writing the notes the week after, and then noodling on it, reviewing those things beforehand. Having that space between the game sessions has helped, I think. So that's kind of handy.
Yeah, man, good stuff, dude.
No, I think it's good.
But everybody should be gaming every week. I don't know what the problem is. Unless you're dying.
So you know what?
Or you've had surgery that could cause you to die.
Yeah, or the other thing too
or you have somebody in your life that had surgery that would cause them to die.
Okay. Or has
it's not. I think I've got, some latitude there.
Some, yeah. You're either about to die or dead. Those are the only two things to keep you from the gaming table.
Well, you gotta set it somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta set the bar somewhere.
Oh my God.
Hey, mileage may vary, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
To each their own.
So honestly, at the end of it here, I'm curious to see what our listeners have, what kind of gaming schedules you have. Sean and I have talked about, right, where we've gamed weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, or even the the yearly game. I'm not the only one I know or I've talked to who gets together like once a year with a certain group of people to game. Sometimes there's like a huge weekend blowout where it's all like board games and RPGs, and that's what they do. I've talked to people who've done that every once in a while. And I'm curious to what other people out there are doing from a scheduling perspective. We probably have some crazy listeners like, I game every other day. We've got people probably who are doing that. And you lucky bastard, if that's what you're able to do.
Tim Jensen, man, I know he's gaming like 7 times a week.
I wouldn't doubt it. Tim's an animal. He's why.
A nutty guy.
But I'm curious what people, and if you have a schedule, why is it working for you? Are you just really lucky that you've got, 4 dedicated men and women who are always willing to show up? Or have you found what's working and what's not? And the reason I ask this is because as VC and I were talking, it's a struggle. The struggle is real when it comes to scheduling, and where we're trying to figure things out with stuff, and any ideas we may have, we can pass that around, and it might be something you could give a shot with your crew and see if it helps you get to the table more often and really get into things. So anyway, that's all I had, man.
I think this is very easy to sum up. Here's the deal, Brett. You ready?
Do it. Sum it.
People want a game with certain people. And because they want a game with those certain people, they can only accommodate, or something comes along where the accommodation and all the planets align only on certain times, at certain dates, at certain days of the month, what have you. So I think that is the thing. That is it right there. The core issues. Because if you don't give a shit about who you are playing with, and that's being crass, I don't mean that necessarily, but it's like a scale. On one side, you have the people you want to game with. On the other side of the scale is the frequency of which you want to game. And what happens is if those people on the left hand can't make it and it tilts one way or the other, you have to determine whether or not that's good enough for you. So if the scale tips too much in the I'm not gaming as frequently as I would like to with the group that I want to game, then you have to make a decision to bounce.
No, that's a very good point. I think I want to game with these people, therefore I will make the time to game with these people. Correct. Which is one of the reasons why my home group is still alive after 20 years is because we want to game with each other.
Yeah, like Hobbs, Jason Hobbs from Hobbs and Friends of the OSR. I mean, he runs a lot of, I think he said he had like 100 games last year that he ran online.
Yeah, he's a promiscuous little thing. He games with anybody, anywhere. He doesn't care.
He's going to catch something.
Yeah, he's going to catch. He's going to get some D12s or something. That's what's going to happen.
He's going to get some D12s.
Because what else do you use a D12 for? So I'm assuming it's a problem. So.
Yeah, hope they got a shot for that.
Hope he's, gaming with protection. But anyway.
Yeah, but he will, and he games with guys that he likes to game with, but they're not, I'm putting words into his mouth. They may not be the sole driver of when he games.
That's true. And the other thing too is that he's got his shorter term campaigns. I mean, I shouldn't say we all, I think we've talked about this before. This driver to do, oh man, I want to run the multi-year, oh my God, big fucking epic campaign where we go and do this huge thing. It's not always, wait a minute. That's always easy to pull off.
I'm going to roll that back, and that's going to be the name of the next adventure we publish.
What's that? Oh my God.
Oh my
God, big fucking epic something or other
that we want to really play, or whatever you just said.
That'll be great.
I have to roll that back. Gus, get that queued up.
Oh, nice. But if you run a campaign or a story arc that lasts 3 sessions or 3 months, then you can hop from game to game or game group to game group, and not feel like you left somebody hanging, type of thing. So that's another piece that could be a reason why or how the schedule's working for you. If you're a guy like Hobbs and you're able to hop from place to place and you're saying, look, these men and women can make it. I might be hit or miss if, Susan can make it, or Emily and Chris and, Sean and blah, blah, blah. How about we'll run a 3-session campaign or a 5-session campaign. Then there's a definitive beginning and ending. And sometimes people sign up for something that's like, oh, if I sign up, I'm only signing up for 3 months. Yes, I can game all summer.
Right.
Every week all summer. Or no, summer's really busy. I'll bow out for the summer. I'll come back in November or whatever the case is. And I think by being able to tell people when you're going to start and when the campaign will end, even if you don't have a definitive, say, look, I should probably run every month. It's going to last probably 10 months. Can you make that? January to October? Yeah, I can do January to October. Okay, then let's do that. If that may well be a thing that helps to get people, again, to sign up early and agree to how often and the overall duration, because it helps people understand when things are going to end so they can plan around it, which is a big problem for scheduling in general. It's like, oh, I'm going to be doing this forever. If you're lucky, you've got a good gaming group. Yeah, you game with them until you're until you're in some sort of assisted living, and you're doing you're even gaming there. But the point,
I can't wait to retire, man. I'm gonna game every freaking day.
God, that'd be awesome.
What are you doing today? I'm a freaking game.
Yeah, I'm gaming. It's online, man. I'll be in the nursing home with my earphones on and my mic. Gosh, all right, then. Just do it.
Come here, you old coots. We're going to freaking play some D&D. What edition? 5e. Holy shit.
Jeez, you guys are going old school on us. That's what that'll be. All right. Shall we move on?
Two to four miscellaneous points of gaming and geekery you want to share with you. Brett, start us off.
Yeah, Xanathar's Guide to Everything, that next big WotC book. Hey, guess where that debuts? That's right, GameholeCon 2017.
Now, I don't know if you know this, Brett. So they are selling that before it's officially released, and they're selling it at Gamehole.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It debuts there. It's there before it's anywhere else.
Do you know where the proceeds are going?
I believe they're going right to Alex's pocket. No, they're not. No. They're not going anywhere. Where are they going?
You silly goose.
Where are they going, Sean?
They're donating all the proceeds to charity.
I know. Isn't it fucking awesome?
Like, not only do these guys get exclusive, like, I saw some people bitch, like, when they first posted, they were like, oh, Jesus Christ, I got to go to Gamehole to get this book early, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, and the proceeds all go to charity. Like, how can you bitch as a follow up to that?
Yeah. Oh, well, good for you guys. So one, they're going to sell out, and two, hopefully they make a shit ton of money for charity through the proceeds. So that's just awesome. Good stuff.
I think it's going to Extra Life.
I believe it is Extra Life.
So
anyway,
yeah, I was like, man, wow, double whammy. Everybody wins.
Exactly.
Well, except for those that aren't there.
Well, too bad for them. Anyway,
you should get there.
Exactly.
First weekend in November. Get your ass to GameHoleCon.com.
So, and in sad news, George A. Romero has died. So the modern zombie, the god of said, he has passed away. He was only 77, which is kind of sad. And in some kind of cool news, I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan. I've seen a number of different shows. I like it. I have not gotten into it myself, but I know a number of people online are really fired up because the next Doctor is going to be a woman. So that's kind of cool. That is the first non-white British man Doctor. So that's kind of cool. I think that's neat.
We had a guy, his name was Gary in high school. I was significantly younger than Gary. I think there was like a 5-year difference. So I might have been in junior high when Gary was like a senior. His name is Gary Mensch. And he dressed up like, I can't remember what doctor it was. It was the guy with the real curly hair.
Baker with the scarf?
Yes. And he had the scarf and wore the hat. And and we called him Dr. What?
Dr. What? That's kind of fun.
But yeah, anyways, I don't know why I brought that up. But anyways, Doctor Who, great. I'm not a Whovian, but I know the geekosphere is blowing up about it, which is I'm sure there's
plenty of douchebaggery and there's plenty of awesomeness all around it. I just think, hey, what the hell? I mean, it's a complete angle that the Doctor Who franchise has not touched yet. They would be stupid not to do this.
I'm just glad they announced it because I think people were about to lose their goddamn minds if they didn't know what the hell was going on for another month.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit hemorrhaging going on while people were trying to figure out what the hell they were supposed to do. So all right, shit hemorrhage. That's those are the three I've got. Sean, over to you.
All right, so Best Demon Illustrations of All Time by Eric Grunhauser. I'm going to hat tip to Forrest Gary. He posted this on Twitter, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So if you want some interesting illustrations to print off for your next game, get permission from Eric first. But anyways, you could see those. You could actually just pull up the website and show your players what they look like. I thought it would be kind of cool. And, since we're out of the satanic panic, hey, why not show your players demons?
I never stopped. So
demons for everybody.
Exactly.
All right. Let's see. We'll alternate on these, Brett. So listener Kevin Lovecraft points out to the complete audiobook collection of Ever H.P. Lovecraft story.
Every
H.P. Lovecraft story. So I think that's free. It's out in the public domain.
No, it's not free.
It's not free.
No, this audiobook collection is the collector's edition runs $75. The download, the full collection is $50, and the select titles is only $20. But it's
what website is that on?
That is on the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society.
Oh, interesting. I thought it was the open.
Nope, it is not.
It is not at all.
This is not.
Not this, but I'm saying I thought the H.P. Lovecraft library was in public domain.
It could be, but this is probably
because I think you can get the audiobooks maybe on a different format for free, but I may be mistaken, like archive.org or something. I don't know.
Don't know, but these folks do good work. So anyway, take a look.
Yes.
Link in the old show notes.
And then he also posted a rare spellbook manuscript detailing how witchcraft was done in the 17th century, but they're looking for folks to translate it. So I guess a couple witches wrote something and they're like, we're not sure what it says. Ooh. This episode, these die rolls.
Yeah.
It's totally satanic panic, man. Somebody's mom or dad are going to listen to this and be like, nah, you're not playing that game anymore.
Probably not. All right. Eli Kurtz put out a micro RPG based on his 2017 200-word RPG challenge. You're the master of a clan of ninjas sworn to enmity against a rival clan since ancient times. Upon fields of battle strewn with caltrops, you have clashed countless times over the centuries. Only the gods and the kami have served as witness to your secret war. Finally, the end draws near. When the dust settles, only one ninja master will remain. Caltrops! Link in the show notes.
See, Brett, you got to do movie voice with that.
Oh, no, that's just...
You're like right there. Your natural voice is almost movie voice.
Is it?
You just got to slow it down. Yeah, you got to slow it down.
Slow it down.
Make it real suspenseful.
Okay. All right, I'll work on that.
Yeah. The master of a clan of ninjas sworn to enemy. When the dust settles, only one ninja master will remain.
Caltrops.
Caltrops. Shane Freeman supplies us with 6 ways to use a lost family in Ravenloft. That title does not make any sense to me, and I don't know if I copied it wrong.
Yes, it's 6 ways to use a lost family in Ravenloft.
God damn it, Sean.
English is hard.
I'm such a mess.
Reading's tough.
Riff. Shane Freeman supplies us with 6 ways to use a lost family in Ravenloft by Matthew Barrett. So if you're running Ravenloft, it is a definite must read. And if you're playing, maybe not so much.
Probably not. Jared Rasher called out the Schwab Entertainment, that is Rob Schwab of Demon Lord, Shadows Thereof fame, post a list where you can find spells, past ancestries, and monsters on their website from time to time when new products come out for Shadows of the Demon Lord, or Shadow, of the Demon Lord. So link in the show notes to that as well.
And lastly, Bruce Cunnington points us to a 25-year-old Chinese sword that still looks and cuts like new. An article by Stephanie Chang. Link in the show notes for you to reference that.
That's really... I love that stuff. You find like these ancient Chinese artifacts like this one and all these, just like, oh yeah, this thing, it's incredibly cool. It's really well preserved and it's, just in incredible shape. How the hell? That's just awesome.
Somebody probably picked it up at a garage sale.
Probably. That's how those things go. Every time.
Flea market. It's a resale store. Hey, so I want to shout out to Chris Johnson for the generous donation. Thank you so much, Chris, for throwing us a few bones. We definitely appreciate it, and it was very generous. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I mean, Sean and we love our patrons. We love all our listeners. You guys are awesome. You men and women do some great stuff, supporting us just by listening, writing in, telling your friends, and the money basically just, it helps Sean and I cover costs. Helps us cover the beer that we want to get at Gamehole, helps us cover some swag we want to give people who are there, and hosting fees and stuff. It's just, honestly, we're both very humbled that anybody thinks we're doing anything cool enough to actually support us. So that's really, really cool. Thank you, all the men and women who do that. You folks are awesome. So thank you very much.
Good aces.
Damn right.
Aces. All right, Brett, man. What are we talking about next week, dude?
I got a couple different thoughts in my head. Edwin threw me for a loop there when he talked about translating from one game system to another. So that might throw me off. You know what? I'm not quite positive yet, Sean. That threw me off there. So, Edwin, you demon man, you.
If it's that topic, the question that Brett's going to say, so Sean, have you ever translated one game system to another before?
Sean will be like, it depends.
No. All right. Well, we must move on, Brett.
We shall move on.
I'm one of your hosts, Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.
This episode of Gaming and BS brought to you with the help from the following patrons. Christian Sexy Voice Serrano, Kevin Lovecraft, Joe Swick, Brett's biggest fan, Jeff Rademacher, Forrest Aguirre, Mark Anthony Benedetti, Eric Jeppesen, Andy Hall, Sean Nicholson, Tim Jensen, Knights of the Night Crew, Palladian, Remy Bilodeau, Jason Hobbs, Wayne Humphrey, James Carpio, not Caprio, Pure Mongrel, Lord Tentacle, Corey Johnston, Eric Tankar, Brandon Barnes, Mark Tasaka, Tim Shorts, Dan LaValle, C.W. Mellencamp, Craig Huber, Eli Kurtz, Lost Sailor, Graham Miner, Todd McGowan, Roger Braslett, Misdirected Mark Productions, Old School DM, Jason, Christopher Gray, Finolf, Ray Otis, Merkel Froelich, Eileen Barnes, Tony Sugarloaf Baker, Todd Crapper, Michael Parker, Jim Fitzpatrick, Michael Drescher with Static, Alexander Auerbach, Rodrigo Beowulf, Neil Benson, Ron Blessing, Evan Harrison Cass, Chris Steele, Eric the Hoffman, Jared Rasher, Stefan Dragonspawn, Soldiers of Misfortune RPG, Christopher Lang, and Curtis Takahashi. For the cost of a coffee shop coffee, you can support the show for an entire month. Consider heading over to gamingnbs.com/Patreon. That's Patreon. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, listeners.
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.